So, welcome to your tension release or soothe and release, whatever you want to call it. It's just going to be a really nice full body experience working with our fascia, so our connective tissue. In turn, that really works with our nervous system as well. So, we might be having quite a physical focus today, releasing physical tension. But we know in turn that is also helping us to perhaps release some emotional tension, energetic tension that might have built up, especially with this really busy, kind of active, extroverted time of year. So, my guidance here is just to, if you do feel these emotions releasing, emotions moving around, coming up, as well as the physical tension hopefully easing, just really take your time in the movements. We're going to be coming in and out, so a lot of gliding movements in and out of the shapes. Feel free to pause, to breathe into that sensation, to take a little rest in between wherever you need. You'll need a blanket, as I just said. And we will get started just with a little check-in. So you might come into a comfortable seat. You might take a few sighing breaths, releasing breaths, where you perhaps hike the shoulders up on the inhale and then allow them to soften and drop on the breath out. And just scanning your body, noticing how you're feeling on a physical level, noticing how maybe you're feeling on an emotional level, how your energy levels are. Just taking that little pause to notice. And that might affect how you move today, might affect where you pause, where you lean into. We'll take a really big breath into that. Nice big releasing breath out. And we're just going to start with this little connection to the very superficial layer, so the very top layer of our fascia, of our skin, our body, our boundary. So we just start with a little rub of the palms together, creating a bit of heat, a bit of energy, a bit of warmth. You might close your eyes for this part of the practice if it feels comfortable. Start to really connect into your body and how you're feeling. Nice slow breath into the belly. Slow, soft breath out. And then just allowing these nice, warm, energetic hands to start to drift down the boundaries of your body. So you might have a jumper on like I do. It might be skin to skin. I'm going to take my jumper off actually. Feeling into those sensations. You might start with a very light or gentle touch, just sweeping down one arm. It might be quite firm. You choose as we go through, choose the depth of the shapes, the firmness of the pressure. And moving on to the other arm, starting right at the top of the shoulder, all the way down. Ourselves a little bit of lymph stimulation as well. Slow breaths deep into the belly. And then just to a point that feels comfortable for you, just being mindful of my mic, but just moving your hands down the front of the body, perhaps around the collarbones, perhaps giving the neck a little bit of a stretch there. Weight on the front of the body. Coming up to stand when you're ready, just so you can sweep the hands all the way down your legs. Really just connecting into that sensation of touch, that top layer of fascia. Perhaps noticing any little lines of pull and tension in the body. From here, we're going to do a little test and retest. So just landing in your version of a forward fold. So you might have quite a generous bend in your knees. You might take the feet a little wider. It might be a sway, or you might be leaning into stillness. Just noticing how that's feeling for you. One more slow breath there. And can you take a little moment to connect into your feet? You spread your toes a little bit wider. You might give the ankles just a gentle squeeze or massage, rubbing around both sides there. Pressing all 10 toes into the mat, pressing both feet into the mat. Can you slowly uncurl and unfurl all the way up to stand? Big breath in on the way. Perhaps a nice big shoulder roll at the top there. And then straight away, we're going to take the feet a little bit wider, or quite a bit wider, bending through the knees, sinking down into a little bit of a goddess squat. But as with all of our movements today, keep the movement going. So shifting your weight from one leg to the other. You might even be sinking in and out of the hips, just kind of finding your edges, noticing how that's feeling. Again, you might be bringing sensation of the hands, the legs there. Nice slow breath in, releasing breath out. Feeling into the edges, and then we'll straighten the legs to come out of it for a moment. Sink back down when you're ready. And we're going to drop one shoulder forward. So I like to gently press, not on the knee, just above the knee, the inner thigh, straighten through this arm and sink my hips back quite deeply behind me. And again, there might be a little sway here. You might drop the gaze down to the ground. So we're looking for getting a nice stretch in the top of the shoulder, but also that line all the way from shoulder blade to the hip as I sink my hips back behind me. Nice steady breaths. Easing out of that just to switch to the other side. Again, I've got that the shoulder that I'm dropping forward, the arm is straight, just gently, well, quite firmly actually, pressing away the inner thigh, dropping or sinking hips behind me. You can drop the gaze again. You might wish to be still, going with what your nervous system needs and wants today. Nice big breath in, even bigger breath out. Nice. Rolling through center all the way up to stand when you're ready. And then we're going to shake it off. So you might just start with a little shake of the hands as if you're flicking water off. Sorry, I'm a headless figure in these sessions now, but it's the cozy space I'm dealing with. Shaking, you don't need to see me for this anyway. Shaking off the hands and then going with your energy levels will up the ante. So you might be shaking one leg at a time, almost as if you're imagining the bones, so the muscles and the tissue are loose from the bones, kind of wiggling, waving, shaking them around the structure. And I'm not going to jump just because the camera will shake around, but you might start to bring a little bit of a jump into it, or perhaps just banging the heels on the ground, And again, really feeling the muscles and the tissue heavy. Nice slow breaths. And we'll just go for another 10 seconds here. So you might up the ante, maybe using the whole space of your mat, jumping up and down, maybe arms overhead. Big clearing breath out through the mouth. Upping the ante a little bit more for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Slowing that back down to a sway. Slowing the breath, the heart rate back down. You might bring the hands into a bit of self-cuddle, self-embrace. You might even be dropping the head to one side to stretch through the neck. And to the other side. So we're just getting some of perhaps stuck emotions or perhaps stuck lymph, stuck fluid moving before we come into these deeper stretches and massages. Nice slow inhale. Slow breath out. I'm going to keep that self-embrace, but just remember which arm is on top. Doesn't matter left or right, but just take a little note of which arm is on top and see if you can really, if possible, I know we've all got different levels of obstruction here. If possible, holding on to the opposite shoulder heads. You might even use your fingertips there to give the shoulder heads a little bit of a massage or just wherever you can reach. And then again, we'll take the feet just slightly further apart now. I'm going to drop the head. Sorry if this is very loud in the microphone, but we're going to drop the head into the chest and round through your back as much as you can. You might even create a little tuck of the tailbone. That might be even on its own, opening up some nerves, the back of the body, and kind of achy feeling. Again, you might sway, you might be still. And keeping this roundedness, I'm going to shift the ribs, the torso over to one side. Coming into a little side bend. Again, just breathing into that for a moment. Then can you press your legs a little firmer into the ground, squeeze your glutes. So you're lifting the chest, lifting this little cross of your arms, maybe even looking up into just a gentle back bend, nice squeeze of the glutes. You might even engage your tummy a little here. Nice. And then over to the opposite side, a little side bend, just like we did before. And in a moment, we'll turn this into more of a circle, but just move as slowly as you can. It's harder to move slowly, but really feel into each little angle, each little pull. So when you're ready, you'll round it forward, tucking the chin. Slowly over to the other side. Give your glutes a squeeze as you think about lifting your sternum, lifting your chest, maybe the gaze. Back to the original side. And we'll keep going just like that, creating these circles. Again, might take a little bit of an effort in the core. Your breath might be slightly more jolted or slightly smaller. But see if you can keep breathing there. Allowing this whole trunk of the body, including the head, the neck, to spiral, to move around this nice stable pelvis. Pause next time you round forward. We'll reverse these circles other way around. Ugh. Breathing into perhaps the stickiness, the tension that's there. One more, just like that. Big breath. Stack yourself back on top of your pelvis, head on top of pelvis. Release the hands, the arms, and just come into a nice slow shoulder roll. Really slow. So you're imagining you're drawing circles with the tips of your shoulders there. Nice. Oh, crunch, crunch, crunch. See if you can remember. Don't stress. If not, bring the, no, I can't remember. Bring the opposite hand on top. I think that's right. The opposite arm on top there. She tells you to remember, then she can't remember. Don't worry about it too much. So instead of our circles now, see if you can again hold onto your shoulders. We're going to lift the elbows as high as they can, keeping the head on top of the pelvis, and then lower. Lift, and then lower. And we'll just come through that a couple of times, just really isolating or allowing that movement to come from the shoulder blades. Nice. Once you've done a few of those, we'll let the back, the spine, the neck, the head get involved. So lifting your elbows as far to the sky as you can. Again, a little squeeze of the glutes to hold you in place as you lift perhaps the chest, perhaps the neck. And then round it forward. We'll take just a few more like this, breathing in as you lift and open. Breathing out as you exhale and round. 3 more. Nice and slow. Got time. One more. Keep that rounded position. Keep that hold of your arms, but bend your knees, hinge at your hips nice and deeply. We'll take that all the way back into our forward fold. You might nestle your head to a rest on that cross of the forearms there. And again, you might prefer a bit of stillness. You might prefer a sway. Oh, you might feel a release, a click, a crunch after a few moments. When your body and nervous system feel safe to release, to unravel. And then dropping the fingertips to the earth when you're ready. You're going to keep the feet where they are, but start to walk your hands all the way around. So you're facing the other way until your feet, your legs, move my camera back down, come into this twisted position. So we're in a twisted forward fold. So coming from your forward fold, slowly walking your hands all the way around to the opposite end of your mat. So you've got one foot in front of the other in this twisted forward fold. If that feels too much, just come back to untwisted. If it feels okay, you might keep walking your hands over, diagonally away, over to the long edge of your mat. Oh, holy moly. A couple of nice slow breaths here. Perhaps feeling that down the outside of your leg. Again, perhaps down that connective tissue right from the shoulder blade to the hip. Perhaps just all of it. Slow inhale. Slow exhale. Slowly walk your hands all the way back round until you untwist, uncross the legs. And then keep going all the way around to the other side. So opposite leg is in front. Again, if that's too much, sticking with your forward fold. So once you've got the legs twisted there, you might pause there. That might be more than enough. All the way down this outer band of the leg. Or you might much tighter on this side. You'll often find that. You might keep walking the hands over to the long edge of your mat. See if you can drop your head. Nice slow breath in. Slow breath out. Holy moly. One more. Slowly unravel and twist back to your forward fold. When you get there, we're simply going to bring 2 knees down towards the ground. You're very welcome to bring a blanket underneath you if you want a little bit more of a soft landing. Slowly coming into all fours, and just take a moment here to really spread your fingers nice and wide. And come around this way so I'm not in the shadow. Spreading your fingers nice and wide. And we're just going to take a little moment to rock back and forth over the space of the wrists there. Feeling into perhaps tenderness through the wrists. You might turn that into a little side to side sway. Perhaps even little circles moving around the wrists and the knees, feeling into them. Feeling into where you are in space. And once you feel comfortable, pausing roughly shoulders over your wrists there. And this one can be a little tricky to connect to, so don't stress if it feels a bit alien. I'm going to drop so rather than the cat-cow, I'm just isolating my shoulder blades again, dropping my chest down towards the ground, squeezing or retracting my shoulder blades together. Head and pelvis stays relatively where it is, although it's a little tricky to fully isolate. But you're drawing as if you're trying to grab an apple between your shoulder blades, letting your chest or nipples drop towards the earth. And then we're going to do the opposite. So press the ground away, not rounding, but spreading your shoulder blades apart. And we'll just move between these two. It took me quite a while to isolate this movement, these little scapular puffs. So be gentle with yourself if it's still feeling a bit more like a cat-cow. It's okay. I'm pressing the earth away and then letting my chest drop. Pressing the earth away, spreading shoulder blades apart. Drawing shoulder blades together, letting my chest drop. We'll just do a few more like this. It's an area we can build up a lot of tension. Nice. And when you're ready, we'll take knees a little bit wider. And we're going to shift into our child's pose. So sinking hips back towards the heels, but then shifting out again towards your wrists. Back towards the heels, over to the wrists. Again, just getting our hips, our nervous system used to the motion before we drop in fully. Slow breath in, slow breath out. Then once that feels comfortable, allow yourself to drop back into this child's pose. You might bring one hand on top of the other for the forehead, just stack on a little pillow. If child's pose is really uncomfortable for you, grab a cushion, a bolster now, and bring it underneath your body. Bring the ground a little closer to you. Allowing yourself to settle for a moment. You might gently rock the head side to side, massage forehead, space between the eyebrows, on your hands there. 2 more breaths here. When you're ready, we'll stay where we are, but reach the hands, the arms out in front of you again. You might pause there for a breath or two in a more kind of classic child's pose. So feeling into the shoulder heads again. Then we'll walk the hands all the way off the left edge of the mat. You might reach right hand on top or a little further forward of the left hand. Taking a couple of deep breaths into the right side of the body. And walking all the way back through center, over to the right side, switching the hands again. So maybe left is on top or reaching a little further forward. At the same time, can you sink your hips a little further back in space? Slow breath in, slow breath out. Back through center, nice and slowly. When you're ready, shifting your way back into all fours. Take your time to get there. We'll come into a cat-cow now, so into a shape that's a little bit more familiar. Breathing in as you lift the tailbone, lift the chest. Breathing out as you press the ground away and round. And keep going just like that, inhaling to lift. Exhaling to round. And again, closing your eyes here if it feels comfortable to do so. Really drawing your focus inward. And see if you can start to color outside of the lines. So forgetting what cat-cow should look like, you might add a little side wiggle if that's where you're feeling your tension. You might just be pausing in one place, breathing into that tension. You might be shifting on and off of the wrist just like we were before. There's no rules here as long as you keep breathing. Just see if there's an invitation, just have an intuitive wiggle. So let your body, your tension, your ribcage, your spine, your breath lead the way. It can be really difficult to switch the mind off in this way. So again, just being gentle with yourself, but seeing where you can allow the body to sway, to wiggle, to move, to get into your specific little nooks and crannies. And we'll be here for 10 more breaths out any direction for me. So just allowing your body to lead the way, allowing yourself to color outside of the lines. Three more cycles of breath here. When you're ready, finding your way back to all fours, just so that we can step 1 foot forward. And this is where you might definitely have your blanket underneath the knee if you don't already. We'll step the left foot forward, coming into a little low lunge here. And again, we're going to start with that little bit of structure and then allow the body to move a little bit more freely. So roughly hips over the back knee, giving the right glute a nice firm squeeze, maybe feeling that down the front, front of the hip, front of the thigh. Giving the front toes a nice spread, really rooting down into that stability to begin. Head and shoulders on top of the pelvis. And from here, we'll hold our shoulder heads again, but just with same hands, same side. And we'll just start to swim or circle the shoulders. So can you keep a hold of that nice stable base for now, with a squeeze of the right glute pressing into the front foot so that you can allow the rib cage, the shoulders to start to move a little bit more freely. Maybe feeling into some crunching and clicks. Oh, you can let the rib cage turn side to side with these swimming movements. Nice big breath in. And reverse those swimming movements the other way around. Probably feels a little bit more sticky, challenging, awkward. Nice. And when you're ready, dropping the arms down, just giving the shoulders a little circle. Go with how your knee, your hips are feeling. If you're pregnant, just really taking care with this one, keeping that engagement of the back glute, just because we get very stretchy around here during that time. We're going to ease into a little bit of a lunge and then back out. Lunge and then back out. So still got a little bit of engagement in the right glute, the back glute, back leg glute there. And this is usually a bit funky on my knee personally. That's why I like the blanket. And then once that feels comfortable, once you're comfortable with the depth that feels good for you, your knee, your hips, your situation, I'm going to start to bring a little swing with the right arm. So I'm going to swing it forward as I lunge forward, swing it back, maybe even look back as I rock back. So there's almost these little semicircle shapes as you lunge. Nice big breaths. You can keep your gaze in one spot if that helps, so you can follow the path of the fingertips. And again, once that starts to feel a bit more comfortable, you might take the swing of the arm, the circle of the fingertips into a big full circle with this lunge. You might be turning a little more to the right, but again, letting go of a little bit of the structure, a little bit of the control. Don't know if that's a really difficult thing to tell a dancer or not, Laura. You'll have to let me know. We'll reverse those circles the way around. Big breaths, big sweeping, expressive circles. Nice. Do one more, just like that. Next time the arm comes up and over, lean the forearm on your front thigh, reach the right hand all the way overhead. I'm engaging that back glute again now. Can you rest your head on your shoulder? Can you curve the top arm? Oof. And you might be slightly dipping in and out of that lunge. Maybe even slightly adjusting, pivoting the direction of your chest. Oh, nice big breath in. Sorry for the sound effects. Big breath out. come up just slightly so you can bring the right hand to the back of your head. Nice open elbow, open shoulder. And we're just going to use the right fingertips, the right hand to massage that space behind the right ear, back of the head, or maybe into the hairline. Slow breath in, even slower breath out. Very slowly coming back up on top of the hips, slowly shifting and changing. Ooh, a little tender knee. You might give it a little massage, a little rub as you switch there. Take your time to set up. Again, finding that structure first. A little squeeze of the left glute and be feeling that down the front of the thigh there. Head and shoulders on top of the hips, spreading the front toes. Feel better already. Once you feel into that structure, there's a little lean in and out. You might start a lot smaller than that. Again, just going with where you're at, keeping a medium engagement in that back glute, left glute. Slow breaths. Feeling into how it feels for you, what depth is good for you. And once that feels comfortable, we'll start with this little semicircle swing of left hand, left shoulder. You might trace its path, or you might be keeping the gaze in one place for your balance. And again, once that feels comfortable, turning that into a nice big circle all the way up and over. Healing into those points of challenge, tension, reversing those circles the other way around. Nice, slow, deep breaths. Always, always connecting back with the breath, however unstructured the movement becomes. Nice, a couple more. We'll reverse it one more time just to come into our nice side stretch. Like a tin can on this side. So leaning forearm on your front thigh. Again, a little bit of a squeeze in the glutes. Reaching top arm overhead. Can you rest your head on your shoulder? You might be just breathing there if it's feeling as tense as it is for me. You might be exploring that little lean in and out. Maybe a little shift of the direction of your chest, your sternum. I'm just going to pause and breathe on this side. These practices may often be like this, where you get into one shape and you're like, oh, yeah, that's where the issue is. One line or band of fascia is just all restricted, condensed. Big breath in. Slow breath out as you slowly come out of it, just a touch, so that you can bring left hand to the back of the skull, back of the ear, massaging around that space. I can see how tight my tendons and muscles are on underneath my left arm, left armpit. That's definitely where those little tension headaches are coming from, where those little tugs and pulls and compressions on the nerves are coming from. Slow breath in. Slow breath out. Slowly, slowly coming all the way back up. Bring the knee down, coming into a little kneel. If kneeling's not good for you, coming into a seat. Holy moly, and just giving the body a little moment there. Been fighting off a cold, so that can often bring a lot more tension into the body as well. So once you've settled, we're going to round, whether you're in cross-legged or kneeled, we're going to round, gently pressing the thighs away, dropping the head. And again, you might be still. There might be a little tiny semicircle sway of the head here. Just rounding through the entire back, gently pressing the thighs away. And slowly stacking the head back on top of the pelvis. We'll come into the opposite. So again, using your legs there, whether they're crossed or kneeled, just gently tugging the heart space forward, retracting the shoulder blades, just like we did before. You might lift the chin, you might not, up to you. Lifting the tailbone. And maybe there's a gentle little shimmy side to side. One more breath. Slowly coming back to neutral. I hope you guys are getting as much out of this as I am. It was needed. So you might stay in your kneel or your cross leg, whatever is most comfortable. You're going to continue this little release to the top of the body and then come down to the ground for some soothing, I promise. So creating that pressure just underneath or around your collarbone with one hand or two hands, gently pressing that tissue skin into the body and gently tugging it towards the earth. We lift the chin away from that space, so diagonally away, just until you feel that tug down the tissue here, down all of that scalene. And again, you might wish to be still, or you might wish to create this little nose or yeses, kind of moving that spot of pressure around until you feel it. Again, going with the level that feels good for you. I do this quite often, so I can go a little more intense. Breathe into your belly. Relax your shoulders. And if you want a little bit more, you might stick the jaw out, the underside of the jaw. Beautiful. Ah. You could pause here for a lot longer. So take your time with slowing the practice right down. Release and come back through center. Really taking your time to come to the other side. Finding that spot, finding that level of pressure that's good for you. Chin moves up and away. Little explorations, all exploration when we work with the fascia, with tension in our own individual bodies. Finding those edges, finding that breath, that space where the breath can soften. Two more breaths on this side. And a little explore, maybe sticking the jaw out if that feels right. Slowly coming back through center. Giving the shoulders a little roll. So we're going to come down to the earth. Just going to do a little time check. Fabulous. Come down to the earth with, it's up to you. You might, depends, this is quite like a thick, heavy blanket. You might just fold it up to create this kind of little folded shelf. You might be using a block if you have one, and if you like, you like a lot more pressure and sensation. Or you might be making a little bit of a roll with your blanket there. Roll or fold, up to you. Not so much difference, especially with a firm blanket like this. As we first come down, it's going to come under our pelvis, our sacrum. So just take your time there to make your way down. You might have to shiffle and shuffle around a little until you come to this nice supported bridge. Feel free to change the setting, change the height, the intensity of your blanket or towel there. You want a gentle pressure or feedback into the back of the pelvis. And when you do get there, we're just going to lift the hips up. Sneeze, sorry. That's gone. Lift the hips up, tuck them under slightly, lay them back down on your blanket. Keep your hips there, but then almost try to shimmy your body, your shoulders away from the blanket. So we're looking at gently lengthening, teasing open these tissues right at the top of the pelvis to the lower back. From here, you might press your feet a little more firmly into the ground, find a little bit more of that tuck if you want a bit more pressure, or you can keep it soft and gentle. And we're going to start with a little rock, side to side of the knees, massaging that whole space. And again, you choose how far your knees want to drop. I quite like to gently hold my rib cage in place, my torso in place. And let the knees drop a little further to get that nice line of pull down the front of the hip as well. All the way around the psoas, but again, going with what's appropriate for your nervous system, your hips. Really starting to slow the breath down. Nice slow sway side to side. You might even be pausing on one side and then the other. A couple of breaths here. If we had a longer class, I'd be staying a little bit longer in each of these. And when you come back through center, you're going to lift the hips up, and it might take a little bit of extra shifting and shuffling to bring this blanket roll at the mid back. So it might be kind of bra strap area or the area of your back that feels most rounded. Again, you might just really take a moment here to adjust. You might wish for a smaller, more gentle blanket roll. You might just be shifting and shuffling till you find that sweet spot. So if you can see roughly where it is on my body, I can lay my head down. I've got quite a short body. I can lay my head down, my shoulders are just about touching the ground. But my pelvis, my sacrum is still on the earth too. So it's really that mid-back section. This can feel a little confronting if you hold a lot of tension in the thoracic. So some nice big sighing exhales, long, soothing exhales.
placing your hands, your arms, whatever feels best for you on the body might be a little bit more grounding, soothing. Cactusing out to the side or into a big T is a little bit more opening. And just again having and explore what feels good for you. Seeing if you can allow or imagine yourself melting over the blanket rather than resisting. We'll take 2 more breaths here. To come out of it, you can either engage the tummy muscles and come up, or perhaps roll on off to the side. Oh, we'll keep the blanket in a roll, but we'll move it right up to the little nook in the neck, behind the head, and then lay our bodies down back on the ground, flat on the ground. Oh, noticing how that feels. Adjusting your blanket roll as you need again to fit that little nook, that curve, natural curve of the back of the neck. Legs are however is most comfortable. You might rest the knees together. Then we'll rock the head side to side, side to side. Again, using the blanket here to massage base of the skull, top of the neck. Maybe pausing on one side if that's feeling a bit tender. And as we do this, we might take a little figure 4 stretch. Again, squeezing it all into our hour together. A little figure 4 stretch. Don't worry about lefts and rights, just do one and the other. Might again be a nice sway with the pelvis, massaging that space around the lower back. Might be gently teasing the hip open by gently pressing the inner thigh away with your arm. Nice slow breaths here. And switching sides when you're ready. Again, there might be a sway, there might be stillness. Bring that little explore. And from here, just to finish, can either come into a happy baby. So you might be grabbing hold of shin, ankles, feet, facing the soles of the feet up towards the sky. Or perhaps just a nice wide-kneed, wide-legged hug, scoop of the knees into the body. Really looking to massage that whole lower back junction. So you might again just be rocking side to side. You might create circles, the legs, the knees, creating that circle massage point all the way across top of the pelvis, lower back, even the sides. Couple more breaths here. And when you're ready, we'll drop the feet down. Just the end. We'll bring soles of the feet together. Let the knees come out wide for a little butterfly. If that feels too much on the inner leg, just bring the knees a little closer. We'll mimic this shape with our arms by interlacing hands behind the head, elbows out wide. Use your thumbs here to finish off with a little massage of that space behind your ears, base of the skull. Maybe some big clearing breaths out through the mouth. You might be allowing the head to rock side to side so you can kind of really pull, lengthen, stretch those little bits at the back of the neck, around the knobbly part of the base of the skull, using the thumbs there to gently tease that space open. One more breath in. Big releasing, sighing breath out. Perhaps releasing the head, allowing the fingertips to drift through your hair, around the temple, around the jaw, anywhere else that feels like it just needs a little finish, a little soothing therapeutic touch to release some of that tension, hold a surprising amount in our heads and our faces. Completely up to you here. Notice how you're feeling. You might wish to take any other stretches or wiggles, lengthen out, rest, rest, rest. Allow everything we've moved through to percolate, to marinate. If you are making your way back up, making your way off and out for the day, you might very, very slowly bring yourself back into that forward fold, the shape we came into. Perhaps noticing how it feels in your body now compared to when we started. If you're doing that, you might even finish off with this little gentle pressure, gentle massage, gentle tug on the back of the neck, head, hairline. We're slowly, slowly coming up to stand. Whatever option you go for, you might even go for both. Absolutely perfect. You might take a moment to journal if that shifted any emotions for you as well, any thoughts, feelings. Often just dropping into this really explorative form of movement can allow ourselves to feel, nervous system, brain, soul, to feel and to process. I hope that has been releasing, soothing for you in some capacity, working with our magical fascia in this way. There's a whole library category on our fascia and lymph moving in this way together, if you haven't checked that out already. Thanks very much, loves, and I will see you for the next one.